Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's Juan Solo here with A Squad Gaming, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for tuning in today for some more Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So in today's video, we're actually going to be breaking down all of the information that we got from the other day's State of the Game livestream from Ubisoft, talking about the Strongholds and the World Tier system in The Division 2. So without further ado, guys, let's jump right into the video. So once you actually reach level 30, this is where the end game starts, and this is where you're categorized in World Tier 1 right out of the gate. And this is where the fun begins, in my opinion, because there is so much endgame content in the Division 2 that it's going to keep you busy for months to come. So how this works with the Strongholds is basically for each Stronghold that you complete, you're going to go up a World Tier until you reach the launch cap of World Tier 4, and then once the title Basin DLC releases shortly after the launch of the Division 2, this is where you're going to be able to advance to World Tier 5. So the first thing you guys are going to need to know about these Strongholds is there is no particular order that you have to complete them, but there are gear score requirements depending on which one you are doing. So for instance, you can pick between the three to start, and it's going to actually cost you a gear score of 275 minimum to actually be able to attempt the Stronghold. Once you complete that Stronghold and you go on to the next Stronghold, that is going to have a gear score requirement of 325 to actually complete that Stronghold. And then when you move on to the third and final Stronghold that we have at launch, it's going to have a gear score of 375 requirement to attempt that Stronghold. So it does not matter what order you do these in, but as you progress through them, the gear score requirements go up, and each of these actual Strongholds has 2 missions that are tied to each one that you're going to need to complete before you will actually gain access to the Stronghold itself. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about the 3 of them that are going to be in the game at launch. So the first one being Roosevelt Island. Obviously it says gear score requirement of 275, so that actually pertains to all of them if they are the first Stronghold that you attempt. But we have the Federal Emergency Bunker and the Potomac Event Center, and these 2 missions you need to complete before you will actually gain access to the Roosevelt Island Stronghold. Next, we have the Capitol buildings. So with this, we have the Air and Space Museum as well as the Space Administration HQ, and those 2 missions you're going to have to complete to gain access to the Capitol building Stronghold. And last but not least, we have the District Union Arena, where we have the Grand Washington Hotel and the Jefferson Trade Center, and those are the 2 missions that are tied to this Stronghold that you're going to need to complete to actually gain access to those Stronghold. But like I said before, after you progress through the first one and the second one and the third one, you're going to be going up in world tiers, but each one is going to require you to have a higher gear score. So it's not like you're going to be able to jump into these and immediately beat the first one, beat the second one, beat the third one, because the likelihood of you gaining the required gear score in back-to-back-to-back Strongholds is very, very rare. It's not really going to happen. You're going to have some grinding and stuff in between, but for the most part, those are the Strongholds that we're going to have at launch. And then also, like I said, Tidal Basin is going to be the first DLC that we're going to be getting shortly after the launch of the Division 2, and this is basically the Black Tusk Stronghold. That this is where they came from. This is their encampment. You're going to go there, and then once you actually complete that Stronghold, that's where you're going to be advancing to World Tier 5. So with all of that being said, I'm actually going to pop something on screen here for you guys to look at, and this is going to kind of give you guys an idea of how the World Tier system is going to work. You can see here with the World Tier 1, you have a max gear score of 300, and as you progress through the World Tiers, your max gear score goes up by basically 50 increments, and we can kind of assume that World Tier 5 is going to be the same way. So our max gear score actually in the Division 2, once you reach max World Tier, is going to be 500. But for those of you guys that don't know, you can't really go back to one of these World Tiers. As you progress through the World Tiers and you complete these basically Strongholds, after you complete each Stronghold, you're going to have a little bit of a timer that's automatically going to progress you to the next World Tier. There is no going back. So this is kind of how the ranking system is going to be working in the end game as you progress through the World Tiers. Basically, once you reach World Tier 5, there is no going back. You're basically going to have the hardest enemies all the time in the Division 2. And personally, I cannot wait to get there. And it is going to be one heck of a grind because you do have to achieve all these gear scores to be able to take on these Strongholds, and you have to complete the Strongholds to go up in World Tiers. So everything kind of coincides with each other, and there's going to be a boatload of grinding. But with the amount of endgame content and the 52 deck of cards that we have with all the 52 named bosses and all that stuff that I actually talked about in my previous video, there is more than enough endgame content to grind out that gear score and get to World Tier 4 before we get the Black Tusk Stronghold, which is going to be the title basin DLC shortly after the launch. So there's plenty of stuff to do in the Division 2, but I just wanted to give you guys a rundown of all of this information so you guys were prepared once the game comes out next week. But for the most part, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, you guys learned something, you guys are excited about the Strongholds and the World Tier system in the Division 2, make sure to drop a like on the video and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on all things with the Division 2 leading up to the launch and after the launch next week. But for the most part, guys, like I said, that's all for the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.